Iron Monster freewheeling on rock solid, our stone hollow blocks. Boom out to the few skeptics who think our Iron Monster is assisted by a crane or that our video is manipulated. Rock solid stone hollow blocks are engineered to provide you with the best building solutions in Guyana. Rock solid stone hollow blocks are the best in Guyana. There is no competition. We make the sacrifice to bring you the best value for money so that you can sleep in peace in a home made with rock solid stone hollow blocks. Proudly manufactured in Guyana by KSM Investments Inc. We're as solid as a rock. That's rock solid stone hollow blocks. This is our 17,000-pound Iron Monster freewheeling on rock solid, our stone hollow blocks. Boom out to the few skeptics who think our Iron Monster is assisted by a crane or
Welcome by Naim Chan. I think I overdid it there. But I'd like to invite Ms. Ramrati Karan. She's the Executive Director of the Guyana National Bureau of Standard. And as I've been understanding it, you just don't get a certificate from the Bureau, Standards Bureau. You have to do well, you have to excel, and you must have consistency in quality. We're getting there, as we'll hear now. Standards Bureau. You have to do well, you have to excel, and you must have consistency in quality. We're getting there, as we'll hear now.
Thank you, Naeem. Honorable Minister of Housing and Water, Mr. Colin Crone. Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, Mr. Mansour Nadir. Minister of Housing. Other public officials, Chairman and Managing Director of KSM Investment, Mr. Mahadio Pancho. Chairman of the Private Sector Commission, Mr. Paul Chung. Chairman of Trade and Investment Committee of the Private Sector Commission, Mr. Ramesh Dutu. President of Guyana Manufacturers and Services Association, Mr. Rafi Khan. Staff of KSM Investment and staff of the Guyana National Bureau of Standards. Members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. I am delighted to be here this evening as the Guyana National Bureau of Standards certified the first company in the construction sector to use the Made in Guyana certification mark on its product. Additionally to the Made in Guyana certification mark, the GNBS Product Certification Program, the company is also permitted to use the National Standards mark on its concrete hollow blocks. For years, business has been calling for the establishment of a local program which provides a mark that differentiates the product based on key quality and other requirements. Supported by the GNBS legislation, the Bureau has heeded the call and has launched the Made in Guyana certification program at the National Quality Award in October 2021. The Bureau continues to work with its stakeholders to develop a program which is inclusive and caters for the manufacturers and producers of local products, regardless of the size of your operation or the type of product that is being manufactured. KSM Investment, Inc. is known for its unique concrete hollow blocks, vent blocks, and pavers. These products have met the requirements for the Made in Guyana certification mark, permitting the company to use this prestigious mark on its product. At this time when businesses are grappling to demonstrate quality and to remain competitiveness in a steadily expanding local economy, this program provides a framework for the development of quality systems to enhance local content. It also helps businesses to achieve a sense of pride and a higher level of competitiveness on the local, regional, and international markets. Demonstrating this commitment to quality tonight, KSM Investment Inc. has achieved double certification. And this double certification comes in the form of a Made in Guyana certification and product certification of the hollow blocks. That meets the requirements of the Guyana standard, which is a specification for load-bearing masonry concrete units. So these are not the load-bearing blocks, the non-loading blocks. They are the load-bearing concrete blocks. And the standard that they're conforming to is the GYS 2015-2018 version. Both certifications are valid for 1 year, and GNBS will continue to do impromptu surveillance audits to ensure that the company continues to maintain the quality system for the period of certification and to the terms and conditions that the company have signed on to. Tonight, I want to specifically thank and congratulate KSM Investment Inc. on taking these important steps to implement quality into their operations and being certified to the Made in Guyana and product certification. From these certifications, it is evident that brand recognition will increase your competitive advantage for products. And once again, congratulations on these notable achievements. Finally, I would also want to encourage all other companies to follow, KSM, and to able to introduce standards and quality in your operation. And we can do this by taking baby steps at a time. So I am urging to go first with the national standard, and then we can go on to international standards. So yes, international standards would be the goal for many of the companies, but we take baby steps and start with the national standards. And one way of doing this is by contacting the Bureau of Standards, and we will take you through the process of having national certification, and then move on to international certification. This is by contacting the Bureau of Standards, and we will take you through the KSM Inc. and the team here at KSM.
Thank you, Ms. Karen. It is my pleasure now to invite the Chairman of Trade and Investment, and of course he has been an active person in the private sector in this country for many, many years. I think it was before I was born, if I recall right. Am I right? So I'd like to welcome to the microphone Mr. Rafi Khan. He's the president of the Guyana Manufacturing and Services Association, and I just mentioned inadvertently trade and investment. I just wish to withdraw that. He's the president of the Guyana Manufacturing and Services Association. Could we just welcome him to the microphone?
Honorable Minister Colin Crowell, Executive Director of GNBS, Ms. Ramati Karan, Director and staff of KSM, members of the media, colleagues, friends, a pleasant good evening to each of you. I think this is the first time I'm seeing a deck of private sector heads here before our minister speaks. So get ready, Minister. You're going to be getting some heads up before your message to us tonight. Following me will be my colleague, Mr. Ramesh Duku from the Private Sector Commission, and then Mr. Paul Chung, Chairman here. I'm not going to keep you long, but I want to say that this is a special moment for the company. Not only the company, it is a special moment for Guyana. It is also a very special moment for me. This is my first opportunity being able to speak at our GNBS launch. The Guyana Manufacturing Services Association has partnered with GNBS for years now, working on such a mark. And we're so pleased to see companies after companies are coming on board with this mark. I want to give a round of applause to the efforts by GNBS before I go into my statement. KSM is going to be the sixth company from the Guyana Manufacturing Services Association who is receiving a mark, certification mark today. It is going to be the first construction building products company to receive its mark as well today, which is very significant as well. And also even more significant, be coming out of a very successful building expo, that international companies are still watching Guyana and now watching the products, watching our company. I want to leave with you, before I take off the stage, is just to talk about something that is very, very dear to my heart. In my industry, which is the forestry sector, personal, my business, I have seen the battles of competitiveness, quality, and standards. There are many things that have been plaguing our country when it comes to being competitive and being known for good products. What is happening here tonight is going to set us apart. And that is what I want to leave with you, is to being set apart. Being part of a brand is going to be important. We know that. Branding is significant. There are three things I want to talk about in setting you apart as a company, and many companies who are here today and listening. So the branding is not just your own company's brand as KSM, as you're seeing around, but having that Made in Guyana GNBS mark is going to be a brand that's going to carry the company, not throughout this country, but I'm hoping internationally as well. I spoke earlier with the director, and I've asked that we consider promoting this Made in Guyana even internationally. We're going to do what we can at the GMSA to help promote this brand internationally, and regionally especially important. I would love to see these pavers going into the Caribbean, if it is not in the Caribbean as yet. The second thing is competition. Competition is tough. It is tough. The amount of import substitution coming in, it is very, very difficult sometimes to be able to be competitive in a market where cost is rising, and yet you have to keep your prices at a point to gain that job. But this mark is going to be a component to set you apart as a company. So in terms of competitiveness, remember, this is going to help this company as well. Also remember, the value that you're offering is not going to be questioned and should not be questioned anymore. Many, many times when we are doing construction, we're always told to be careful with the blocks that we're using. Is it cured? Now consumers can easily go and pick up a block and know that they have their mark, and without a doubt they don't have to question the quality and the integrity of the product. So I encourage each of you here tonight. We are consumers at the end of the day. Even though we're invitees here, we are consumers. It can start from us. Let us share the good news of this brand. Let's share the good news of the product that is being manufactured here tonight. And I want to encourage this company to keep moving forward. And as I was speaking earlier with Mr. Panchu, moving from rice and now into, in the last 7 years, producing a construction building product, it had to take guts. So I commend you in your efforts, and I look forward to many great success stories as other companies come on board. Have a pleasant evening. Thank you.
You know, as an active member of the media, I don't like people sounding better than me. I'm already having a dislike for Mr. Rafi Khan. These distinguished men, they always seem to come up and do better than you. But, all right. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my duty to invite to the microphone the Chairman, Trade and Investment of the Private Sector Committee, Mr. Ramesh Duku, to give us a brief remark. And I've known Mr. Duku for many, many years. I don't know what he's living on, but he's simply not getting old.
Right, I think that's an improvement on the first comment that you made, erroneously. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ramesh Duku. I'm the chairman of the Trade and Investment of the Private Sector Commission. My good friend seemed not to get it right, although I wrote it on a paper and gave it to him. So what do we do in the Private Sector Commission? That is about one of our cross-cutting committees that we have. My job is to make sure we're treated fairly when it comes to international trade. And most of the work regarding investment at this point in time is done by our chairman, who's doing a fantastic job in that regard. I want to share with you my own experience with the Guyana mark. Many years ago, and Ramrati reminded me, we started a conversation in the GNBS about a made in Guyana mark. And she also reminded me that I was there with two young ladies from the Manufacturers Association. And like Rafik, it gives me great pleasure, pride. I'm proud to be here. It's a privilege to be here to do this with the GNBS, because at last we have a made in Guyana mark that we can all be proud of as a nation. How did this all start? One day, myself and an old manufacturer, people like Benny Sankar will remember him fondly, Hemraj Kisoon, and Clifford Reese, the chairman of Bank CIH, my boss. We were chatting, and Clifford said, look, you know, it's time we have a made in Guyana mark. The next week, banks started to put made by Guyanese, made in Guyana by Guyanese on all of its trucks. If you look around, you can still see that those phrases and sentences on every advertisement that banks does. Hemraj also started to put on his trucks a Guyanese product made by Guyanese, something to that effect. And many other companies started to do that. And then boom, GNBS, who we woke up about 4 years ago, said we're ready with our mark. We were not pleased with some of the conditions. I think we approached the minister, right, Rafik? And we got some of them conditions changed. But what is made in Guyana mark? It's something that creates and sustains national pride. It speaks of Guyana as a place that produces quality products to the rest of the world. But we also have more propositions for the GNBS. We would like to see assistance be given to over 200 small producers who participate in the GMSA Uncapped program. You've heard about that program. It is run, it's an event that is run 2 or 3 times every 18 months, I would imagine. And it will amaze you to sample some of the products that our cottage industry is producing. They have gotten so popular through the GMSA by the Uncapped program that they are now exporting, because Exxon funded a portal for them to export their products anywhere in the world. And Uncapped is going to St. Lucia sometime later this year or early next year. So one of the things we need to consider, and the larger companies here and the government of Guyana need to consider assistance for these persons to qualify for a made in Guyana mark. Standards cut across many, many sectors. This happens to be a construction company, but there are other sectors in Guyana, as you know. There's forestry. We need standards in forestry. We need standards in mining. We need more standards in construction. We need standards for building codes, which we don't have. We need standards for urban development, which we don't have. Mr. Panchu have a factory here, right across here. There's a man living with his family. I'm just using an analogy, sir. Don't get vexed. So all of those things need to be addressed. Food production needs to have rigid standards. The hotel industry. So GNBS has its work cut out for it. This is only the tip of the iceberg. And until we have a country and industries that has standards, and those standards that are adhered to. And the other thing is, we need more mandatory standards. There's no sense having 95% voluntary standards and 5% mandatory. I'm not sure if Guyana has a mandatory standard right now. Standards has to be enforced. It has to be turned into law. Mandatory means you have to do it or it's against the law. So manufacturers locally also need to be defended by mandatory standards. We have discussed this afternoon, after having seen Ramrati and Aisha, we are going to have a full day with 200 private sector companies with the GNBS, so our private sector could understand standards a little better. So that is my little contribution to this gathering. Outside of Guyana, other countries have lots of mandatory standards, not only in food production, which we have to adhere to outside of Guyana, and oftentimes barriers are put up when manufacturers in Guyana try to export to other countries. So this is how important standards are to a country. It drives their business, it drives export, and we can only do this together with the GNBS. And I look forward personally to giving the GNBS more ideas and waking them up some more as we go along, so that we can continue to work together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Duku. And now I have the privilege of introducing the chairman of the Private Sector Commission, Mr. Paul Chung, who I bumped into in another country not so long ago. And he's a popular guy. This guy had a whole entourage surrounding him, nice looking people as well. Mr. Chung, I'd like to welcome you to the microphone.
Thank you, Mr. Master Ceremonies. All protocols have been established and observed. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I must apologize for being late here this evening. It's not a practice of mine, but you know, early in the day when I told my staff that I had to come here, they said, Mr. Chung, you shouldn't. But I said, yes, I have to. I know this young man a long time, even though in those days he had many more hair on his head. So I had to be here, but I budgeted 45 minutes to get here from my home in the canal, but it didn't cater for the bridge. I have to close the traffic coming across the bridge for so long. Then coming up the East Coast, I mean, even from here to the traffic light and turn around, it took me probably about close to 10 minutes. And all that contributed to me being here late. I'm saying that to say that infrastructure development is important. It's important that we continue building. I know Guyana, I mean, with our newfound wealth, we have an infrastructure deficit. And it's important that we continue. I mean, the value that it will add to our country and our population and everything that we do is great. Because we don't, I mean, right now we don't value or we don't cost the disturbance or the inconvenience of the infrastructure. We have a small population already, and the length of time that we spend in traffic moving from one place to the other, it's costly. So it's important that we fix those things, and I mean, the Private Sector Commission fully support those moves. As chairman of the Private Sector Commission, I take this opportunity to congratulate Mr. Panchu and KSM Investment Inc. on acquiring the certification for its products. We in the private sector recognize the efforts being made by the Guyana National Bureau of Standards to promote and use national, regional, and international standards related to products and services in building and construction sector. These efforts are timely given the expansion taking place, the changing dynamics in the industry, the demands for products of the highest standard. You know, only a few weeks ago we had a meeting with the Bureau of Standards when they were looking at the strategic plan. And you know, we appreciate and recognize the good work they're doing, but we also encourage them to do more in terms of training. I mean, I know Ramesh mentioned it. We have many small manufacturers, and putting system in place would help them to take their products to another level. So I must commend GNBS on what they've done here. Equally commendable is KSM that has met those standards outlined by GNBS, a direction more companies must take in the construction industry. We're conscious of the hard work. I know we're seeing today the certificate, but we must recognize the work before achieving the certificate. All these policies that you had to document, the procedures, and the training that the staff would go through. The certification is not automatic that you produce something proper once you get the certificate. It's the policy, it's the management of those policies that will ensure that you have a consistent quality coming out. And that's what, I mean, the consuming public demand and expect when they purchase a product. So again, I mean, this is commendable for the effort and the hard work that was undertaken, not only by the Bureau of Standards, but the management and staff of this company. Guyana construction industry is projected to grow at 10.5% in 2022. We have seen the government investing heavily in infrastructure projects all across all sectors. Local businesses stand to benefit from a number of these projects, such as the quality of products and services we deliver must stand the test. The private sector also has a number of projects on board that require products like these. Only last week we saw 4 hotels turning sun, and that which is goes well for the future of the tourism sector. We know the health sector also have a number of hospitals in the pipeline, both private and public sector. So it's all go well for us producing good quality products for the construction industry. Let us continue to work towards adding value to the construction industry. Let us support our partners, whether it's the government, whether it's the private sector, or the consuming public, by ensuring that they get value for their money. We talk about the Guyana, made in Guyana brand. You know, I was responsible for international marketing for many years in my company, and I know of the issues we get, I mean, in the international part, particularly in North America, Canada, and the US. Particularly in North America. And I believe again in Guyana, once we registered, and not to register only in Guyana, we have to register internationally. We know that we have many Guyanese living outside the Guyana, and they pray for Guyanese products, right? I know we're at the construction or thing, but this is in general for the manufacturing sector. We need to register this name overseas so that when nobody can really steal those words, made in Guyana. We've seen companies steal the rare gold. We have to make this a culture in our country. We have proper quality management system and proper project management. You know, we are now a developing country. We are a developing country, but we're developing fast. And we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We have to ensure that wherever we're doing, whatever infrastructural work we're doing, it has the good quality management system in place, and also a good project management to ensure that it finishes on time. We saw the issues with this East Coast Road, the length of time it took to complete way after it was supposed to be completed. And the problem that caused for the public because of it not completing in time. We need to avoid those pitfalls in the future. We know we have a big project in terms of the bridge across the Amara River. And you know, I'm recommending that we put those systems in place from early and manage it. And the private sector stand ready to play our part in helping along this one. I know the Standards Bureau also, you know, can help in those areas. We need to strive to maintain high standards, right? And we need to continue to build on what we have and learn from the mistakes of the past and use that as a stepping stone to elevate whatever we're doing. Right, so once again, I want to offer the highest congratulations to Mr. Pancho and his team here, and wish them well in the future, and also encourage more businesses to get on board with a proper quality management system. Thank you.
Mr. Paul Chung, Chairman of the Private Sector Commission, thank you very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite the man who developed this concept, who dreamt these dreams and made it a reality. This is not ordinary stuff, and I really admire the steps progressively that he has been making over the years. It has never been looking back. He has been getting better and better, as my friend wrote in school. Good, more good, over mark good. Mr. Pancho, I'd like to welcome you to the microphone.
Honorable Minister of Housing and Water, Mr. Colin Crowell, Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, Mr. Manzoor Nadir, Mr. Rafiq Khan, President of the Guyana Manufacturers and Services Association, Mr. Paul Chung, Chairman of the Private Sector Commission, Ms. Ramarti Karan, Head of the Guyana National Bureau of Standards, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, special invitees, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of myself, the management, board of directors, staff of KSM Investments, we heartily welcome each and every one of you to this very momentous occasion for a company that is not yet 7 years old. Where you're sitting here, 9 years ago, this was swampland. when I bought it in 2012. And immediately, I started put the effort into this project. I worked like 2 years, night and day, being here, going home at 2 and 3 in the morning and being back here at 7, consistently. And this is the reality today. A concrete factory was never in my equation or in my plan. It happened as a matter of fate. This was supposed to be a rice packaging facility where we would not have been using paddy because of the environmental concerns. We can't do processed paddy. But we would have been processing the husk rice. We would have been refining it and packaging it for export. All my independent work in life was exporting rice from Guyana. So that was basically in my blood, having been born on a rice farm in Mahaica, in the Hoop. But on an overseas trip, I happened upon an exposition, a very large exposition that changed the tides of the time for my life. I saw this massive machine at the exposition, at least on the big screen, turning out this type of products that we are now manufacturing here. And immediately I fell in love with it. I recognized Guyana need this production line. Guyana must have this production line. So when I called my wife back home and I said, look, forget about this rice story, because global prices were up and down crazily and we were moving into the rice industry. I feel when global market was not stable and we were going behind a big risk investment. Having recognized the need for this, I called my wife back home and I said, look, I think we need to change this whole plan. I'm in love with this concrete plan. But I said, you don't know the concrete. And how can you move from rice to concrete? I said, we are going to learn concrete. And of course, with her blessings, today is a reality. And in less than 7 years, the company will be 7 years into actual production in November 15, 2022, having started in 2015, November. We are already, we never set out in this business to receive awards, but I was telling somebody today, I'm not going to refuse the awards. So in 2017, we received the Guyana National Bureau of Standard Good Manufacture Award for Quality. In the same year, we had to travel to Montego Bay, Jamaica, myself and my wife. We were invited there. In fact, the Caribbean Export Development Agency, in collaboration with the Caribbean Association of Investment Promotion Agencies, CIDA CAIPA, they paid for us to spend 1 week in Montego Bay, Jamaica to receive an award for the Local Investor of the Year Award, 2017. In 2019, the Guyana Manufacturers Association recognized what we are doing here, and obviously they reward us for raising the bar on concrete products in Guyana. We're very thankful for all these awards, but we never set out to win awards. We set out to do something for our country, to raise the level of concrete products in this country. The concrete products that are being manufactured around, still being manufactured around, are a far cry from what can be deemed structural. They have no structure. People buy them, they use them. Put a coat of paint, it looks good. 2 months after, your walls are a crack. You cannot deal with that. What we are giving you here is a product that can withstand local and international scrutiny and testing. We exceed international standards of quality. Getting the Guyana National Bureau to certify our products is not a walk in the park. As Paul would have mentioned, a lot of work went into this, and we have been aiming for this as our first stepping stone. This facility, ISO certified, ISO 9001. That is where me and my team will take this company. We must have ISO certification. For us to get that, let us also deal with the local certification first as a stepping stone. Recognizing the efforts that we would have put, obviously, the GN, the Bureau of Standard, we are happy to have our Made in Guyana label certification, and we are also very happy, right, to have the product certification for what undoubtedly is the best around. Oil and gas has brought the dawn of a brand new economic era to this country. We are seeing every day, reading about hotels and all the type of investment that we're going through. 2 days ago, a 300 room or 300 apartment, condominium, whatever it is, will be going up. I'm happy to say that all those buildings that are going up, all those oil and gas related construction have been buying our products. And I must commend the government of Guyana for embracing what we are doing, especially with regards to changing and modernize our infrastructure when it comes to the utilization of pavers. We are in the process of having more different types of products that we will be introducing. It is going a bit slow, not because of us here, but because in the international scheme of things, the dynamics of doing business with international companies have slowed down. Time is of the essence for us, but we cannot override what is happening due to pandemic, the fallout from the pandemic and so on. The chain, what you call it, the supply chain has been broken, it has been mended, it is slow, it is not working the way we would want to work it to work, because I want to see things move fast. But we have to go with the pace that is dictated to us by our supply chain and so on. So, Minister, we are definitely going to be introducing more different types of modern concrete products, not only pavers, but for building and construction. And we are also looking already, not yet 7 years old, we have seen the need, because of the type of quality and the type of products we do, that we see the need for further investment and expansion in what we were doing. So that we are looking at 2 more factories outside of Georgetown, outside of the East Coast, away from the East Coast. We want to decentralize our operation. At the same time, we want to increase our production because of the growing demand for what we are doing. As I said, it has not been a walk in the park getting here. It has not been a joyride for me. It has been tremendous sacrifice by myself and my wife. Obviously, my son is also playing a role, and he was in the back seat, so we're now trying to bring him to the front seat and to start to take a more leadership role in the company. And KSM is absolutely happy with all the recognition, and we will continue to stay ahead of the game. We will continue to provide value for money, concrete products. That is our motto. We are helping to revolutionize the concrete products sector. I am happy to be told that not only are we the 6th company with the Made in Guyana mark, but we're the only one that is involved in the construction products. And I'm very happy to hear that. It means that we are doing something very well, and we are heartened to know that, and obviously we will continue to do even better tomorrow. I also want to quickly state that, you know, we are not all business here. We also have our corporate social responsibility side. And, you know, we have been helping a lot of people in their lives. And we will continue to be that good corporate citizen also. Because I am also the product of poverty. And I'm very happy to know that I came from the background I came, because that served as a motivation for me and for my siblings. And somebody mentioned about simplicity. I think it was Naim. That is who I am. I cannot change. I will remain simple regardless of what. That is who I am, and that is who I will always be. And I will always be a friend of the poor. Ladies and gentlemen, having bored you for so long, I want to now take your leave and once again extend to all of you a hearty welcome. It would be massively remiss of me, massively, and I would never ever forgive myself if I don't publicly state we have a Minister of Housing. He is one in a million. Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, all of our ministers work. There is absolutely no dispute about that. Here is one gentleman. I know sometimes, I mean, I work hard. I push 10, 12 hours a day. Sometimes I wanted to know how he make it. But he is making it and he's achieving it. Building Expo is a solid example of the true leadership of Minister Crow. And that is about the first thing I told him. As an individual, I'm overwhelmed by, we had a booth, obviously, at Building Expo. As a company, Building Expo, Minister Crow, has done us greatly. The response to us, to our booth, was tremendous. And it was only made possible because of Building Expo. There's also a literary side to me. Having been a journalist for so many years in those days, I also do a magazine that I give out free, of course. It's a form of marketing. And at Building Expo, so I had this magazine in time. So we take in a few hundred every night, Brought in some stuff from the US, things that we print out there, and pens and whatever. And before the Building Expo, let's say, you go there at 2, by 5, the guy said, Chief, you know, a magazine almost finished, or the pens, we could either bring more and so on. That was the kind of response we had. People were coming. They were a tremendous amount of people. And I spoke with fellow business people who are also happy to know that we have a Building Expo, and a Building Expo that was executed so wonderfully by you, Honorable Minister. And I wish to let us all, you know, applaud the Minister for what he would have done. He and his team, obviously, but he is the leader. They box up at him if something goes wrong, but everything, he pulled it off nicely. Ladies and gentlemen, I have come to the end of my little boring presentation, and I want to thank you all for being here, and I also would like to invite you guys at the end of this. We have lots of cocktails, lots of food, lots of drinks. It's Friday evening. Rather than a party elsewhere, we party right here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mahadio Panchu. When the Building Expo, he was talking so much about it, was coming closer, he gave me a call and he said, I want you to go stand up by the booth. And what do you know about the products of my company? I said, not much. I know over the years I've been describing cricket, if many of you would remember that. And you reel out statistics when a batsman is batting or a bowler is bowling. I never could have believed I could have talked about PSI, 8 and 10,000 PSI. So he had to give me a little lecture on it. And if you see a boy at the booth, you know, half was bluff, half was factual. And I hope I get paid at the end of all of this. Ladies and gentlemen, when a government is being sworn in, I am one of those people, I think that I have a relatively independent mind. And sometimes it's not the greatest bother to me who is running a country. I'm always desirous and have this insatiable appetite to want to see people appointed in the country to govern the country, people of quality. So when the last when the new government, the current government, was installed, I kept going through the cabinet and finding out about our ministers and permanent secretaries and officials of the government. And I bumped into the name of Colin Crowell. And then I checked on him a little bit. I met Mr. Crowell several years ago. And then I got some people, when you reach them, you don't ever forget them. Mr. Crowell is a person like that. I was impressed instantly with his simplicity. And Mr. Crowell started off his career in the Attorney General's chamber, and he kept moving around, which actually made him more rounded. And from there, he had another tenure at the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs, then local government. He was shadow minister in Parliament also during the last coalition government. He didn't stop there. Mr. Crowell went on and pursued further studies, went all the way to Malaysia and came back with a master's degree. So here is a guy that is not only simple, he's rounded, and I was impressed when I read about him, and I was pleased when he was appointed the now Minister of Housing and Water. I have the distinguished privilege of calling on Mr. Crowell to give us the feature address.
Thank you very much for that warm welcome, Naeem. CEO and Chairman and the man of the moment, the hour, Mr. of KSM Incorporated, Mr. Mahadio Pancho, your wife, son, and the entire family, because your name cannot be recognized without me attaching your family. Allow me to also recognize, oh, now I'm standing here. While we're seated, I can't see who's in the audience, but I'm seeing some familiar faces. So let me start with hierarchy. I want to recognize the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Honorable Manzoor Nadir. And he's seated next to him is one of Guyana's legal luminary and my former boss, a gentleman I learned a lot from when I was inducted when I started as a PS. I recognize the former Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, Charles Ramson Sr., the Chairman of the Private Sector Commission, Mr. Paul Chung, Chairman for the Trade and Investment Subcommittee of the PSC, Mr. Ramesh Duku, and also the Chairman of the Board of Directors for Guyana Water, Inc. We just heard also from Mr. Rafiq Khan, who is the Chairman of Guyana Manufacturing Service Association. Other executives from the Private Sector Commission, the Executive Director of GMSA, Mr. Nizam Hassan, staff of KSM, Ms. Ramrati Karan, the Executive Director Acting of GNBS, and other staff of Guyana National Bureaus of Standard, special invitees, members of the media. Good evening all. Sounds like a long introduction. It is a pleasure to be part of this afternoon's occasion. This, while simple but very important and significant reception to mark KSM's investments on attaining two aspects, that is, their product certification for concrete hollow blocks, as well as the Made in Guyana certification for its hollow and vent blocks and pavers. This significant achievement by KSM to have its concrete hollow block certified to the Guyana standard specification for load-bearing masonry concrete units is very commendable. And it serves as an indication of the changes that are unfolding within the construction sector in general, as well as, goes without saying, the building sector in Guyana. We have therefore come to a fork in the road where the old way of doing business, of manufacturing, of providing goods and services, it's changing. Now companies and service providers must strive for the gold standard. And this can take the form, as in this afternoon's occasion, of certification. As is just said, the advent of the oil and gas sector has brought new demands for safety certification. In fact, these days, no event is complete without us talking about health and safety. Companies must therefore provide the necessary gears for their staff. So for persons who are visiting the work site, safety is critical. Our local construction sector has had its own challenges. Challenges with safety. But from time to time, we read about complaints of substandard and inconsistently made products, which has led to loss of money, and in some cases, unsafe and poorly built houses and other buildings. As has been recognized by the previous speakers, this was compounded by the non-enforcement of the requirement of products, and two, the abdication of responsibility at all levels. And we must acknowledge that. So this certification by the GNBS reinforces the demand for compliance with nationally required standards and brings with it consumer confidence in the durability and safety of the products. The just concluded Building Expo, International Building Expo, was a masterclass in the array of products that are available on the local market for building and construction. And I pause here too, since mention was made by Mr. Panchu, to acknowledge the contribution and guidance that first of all that was provided by our youthful President, His Excellency Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali, the President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, and the gentleman for whom is responsible for driving his cabinet and leaders in the government to ensure that we work hard every day to make the lives of our citizens better. And that is what motivates all of us as a PVPC government. Citizens were therefore exposed to international standards. They are aware of what is at stake when local products are compromised, whether those products are hollow blocks, electrical fittings, or even wood, as Rafiq will tell you. And now, with the boom in construction, more than ever, we must be able to buy products that are standardized. If not, we risk wasting millions of dollars and time, and even can be detrimental in the loss of lives. As a government, we have championed the call for a new standard in manufacturing. And it is encouraging to have the private sector organizations urge their members to seek certification from the relevant agencies. So the GNBS Product Certification Program includes other construction-related products such as PVC pipes, fiberglass bathtubs, and shower units, and this augurs well for the sector. I hope, therefore, that with more available construction standards and the ability to conduct product testing to ascertain the requirements stipulated in those standards, that the GNBS can expand its range of certification to include other building and construction materials, for I wish to also encourage all local manufacturers to support this initiative too. Certification of standards is a highly sought after achievement, which requires companies to continuously strive to maintain and surpass. The validity with which it is monitored by surveillance visits, the Made in Guyana certification mark is a registered mark that provides recognitions to locally manufactured products and creates national, regional, and international competitiveness for authentic Guyanese products. And therefore, it provides a framework for the development of quality systems within our local content, which can propel Guyanese businesses to the forefront of national, regional, and international levels of quality. These are all laudable goals, and it is my earnest hope that all locally manufacturing companies strive for this attainment. In this regard, I wish to commend KSM Investments for all of its achievements to date. All of us will recognize that it must not have been easy, must not have been comfortable, and if you want certification, it must not have been cheap. And certification requires investments in equipment, space, and human resources, but it is worth it. And it is the way that the sector is evolving. Customers are demanding that standards be established and upheld. International investors and markets demand the same. So if companies ignore these demands, they will lose out in the end. They will not benefit from new and expanded markets. The housing drive by the Ministry of Housing and Water is only just getting started. In the near future, as we've been doing, you will continue to see the establishing of new housing developments within each region. As a result, local manufacturers and suppliers of buildings and construction materials will reap the returns of their investments in this sector. But they will also have to consider the competition. Citizens will buy products they feel that is value for their money, and that it is long lasting when they purchase a product. The durability of your product, therefore, can be on your word alone. It needs the accompanying certification, and citizens will look for that certification. And as I said earlier, if you don't have it, you will lose out. I can boldly say that by 2025, we will maintain and attain our manifesto promise of 50,000 house lots. So the opportunities for the sector are vast. All around, buildings are going up. Industrial, commercial, and of course, residential. So we must advance and increase the standard of our building materials and our options too. KSM, as you've done, therefore, wants to be ahead of their competitor on this score. And I would like to see you, and I'm pleased that you said it, that you will continue to expand. Your government stands ready to assist your expansion efforts. In closing, I want to congratulate you for the attainment of the Made in Guyana certification. As has been said, you have joined 5 other local companies which carry this distinction, and for the construction sector, you are the first, and there will only be one first. You are in great company. Congratulations, Mr. Mahadio Panchu, and your team and your family. Thank you for demonstrating the confidence in our government's stewardship of this sector by taking the investment in your certification. Please, as you've always done, do your best to maintain this status and continue to provide the products that your fellow citizens can fully support and rely on. Congratulations, and thank you all.
Thank you, Minister. If I slipped up anywhere along the line and not acknowledging someone of great importance, please forgive me, because I heard the Minister welcoming the former Attorney General, Mr. Charles Ramson, also former Justice of Appeal. And one would like to think, with the size of my eyes, I should have spotted Mr. Ramson. Forgive me. Ladies and gentlemen, we're coming to another important part of the ceremony. And so I'd like to invite the following persons, Mr. Lachman Mutusamy and Mr. Mahadio Panchu. First, we're going to have the signing of this certificate and then the presentation officially. And may I ask in the same breath to invite subsequently Ms. Ramrati Karan and Ms. Shanta Panchu to do the other certificate. All right, so first we'll have Mr. Panchu here and Mr. Lachman Mutusamy. Here is where the certificates will be officially signed. And that's, of course, the first signing would be the product certificate. And subsequently, we'd have the Made in Guyana certificate. I guess. I guess he's going to have a little lecture from the relevant agency about his obligations. I hope you have on the right spectacles, Mr. Panchu. If we can just hold it up for a while so we can have our pictures. Maybe, if you don't mind, would you come into the open? You can pose with it. Pose. Pose with it. Camera. You alone.
No.
Thank you. So we'll have the signing of the honor certificate. If the officials can please come forward with Mrs. Panchu. Oh, there. Yeah, I know. They have to sign. And Mrs. Panchu, you don't have to be afraid to sign. This is not a divorce document. Arvin?
You can take the picture, a group picture together with both certificate. Then we have a sticker to paste on the door. That sticker that's there, which is not
Which door?
on his office door. We're gonna paste that sticker, and then we're gonna do a walk through the blocks on your left hand side. So what's like your name?
Just like before, after the signing, if the recipient can just come into the open and we can have pictures taken. And after that, we can have Mr. and Mrs. Panchu with all the pictures posing. Now, could we have this, Mr. Panchu, the family?
Excuse me, pull it from the other side. That's really
That's the best smile, Arvin. Ah. Yeah.
Including Guyanese.
Mr. Panchu, there's a request if we can invite Minister for a group picture and the officials, GNBS, GMSA. Minister, would you mind? Is Mr. Duku still here? You're being invited up to the stage, sir.
everybody come this side, please.
You don't know which one to look at. I'm alive, I'm psyched. Rubbish gun?
No, we got it.
Fine.
Can we give this group here a round of applause? Arvind, you next. Thank you, people. How we like our forcing to be in the photo at the side there? Yeah, I was calculating. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to conclude, and to do that, I'd like to invite the son of Mr. and Mrs. Panchu, Siv Kumar Panchu, to the podium to give us the vote of thanks.
Honorable Colin Kroll, Minister of Housing, member of the head table, representative of the private sector, special invitees, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It is my task and considerable honor to move the vote of thanks here tonight. First, let me thank everyone assembled here tonight, without which this evening could not have been a success. Thank you, Speaker of the House, barons of business, the banking community, the media, customers, friends, thank you. I would also like to give special thanks to Minister Colin Kroll for taking the time to be here and delivering the feature address. We also offer congratulations to Minister Colin Kroll and his team for the just concluded Building Expo 2022, which was highly successful. Thank you, Minister Colin Kroll. Special thanks also to the Guyana National Bureau of Standards, represented by Executive Director Ms. Ramrati Karan and her teams. Guyana's progress is tied to our embrace of standards, and your Bureau is leading the way. Thank you for recognizing KSM's commitment to a standards-based manufacturing and construction industry. Mr. Naeem Chen, Master of Ceremonies, and a stalwart of journalism and the communications in Guyana. Thank you. You have been and continue to be a staunch ally of KSM. And finally, thank you to all the event planners, site decorators, technical staff, and all the men and women who have worked hard for the past 2 days to make this event possible. Without your hard work and commitment, the task would not have been possible. I now invite you all to join us for a cocktail segment program as we mix and mingle and continue to celebrate the event. Thank you.
Just before we get to that part, we're going to be affixing the stamp on the doorway of the main office. You're invited to have a look at the hollow blocks, the same ones that the heavy-duty machinery, 17,000 pounds, can rest on without damaging it. You know, I told somebody the other day, I was coming out of the station, and the person said, you almost make a couple strong blocks just to put that machine on. So I came back, I told Mr. Panchu, and he said to me, I can invite you to take any block from any part of my bond, and that machine will go on it without breaking it. So I've been tasked with just trying to convince people it's not fake all the time. So ladies and gentlemen, you're invited to have a little view of the block. Don't cuff it or hit it or butt it. And then the official pasting of the Made in Guyana product sign on the door of the office. And thank you very much. I'm Naeem Chen.
We're as solid as a rock. That's rock solid stone hollow blocks. This is our 17,000-pound Iron Monster freewheeling on rock solid, our stone hollow blocks. Boom out to the few skeptics who think our Iron Monster is assisted by a crane or that our video is manipulated. Rock solid stone hollow blocks are engineered to provide you with the best building solutions in Guyana. Rock solid stone hollow blocks are the best in Guyana. There is no competition. We make the sacrifice to bring you the best value for money so that you can sleep in peace in a home made with rock solid stone hollow blocks. Proudly manufactured in Guyana by KSM Investments Inc. We're as solid as a rock. That's rock solid stone hollow blocks. This is our 17,000-pound